Now, this is done by the enemies of Africa.
Yeah.
Even our own groups here, we monitor them with intelligence. Here, of course, we have very good intelligence, and we know them. Like, for instance, we have got two Kenyans whom we arrested. They have been with us. I have their names, but I don't remember their names. They came. They were working with the Kyagulanyi's group. That they are experts in riots. So they had come to train our people. Of course, with our very good intelligence system, we picked them up. And they have been in the fridge for some days.
They're cooling.
Now,
shameless old man. Now remember, the government of Uganda refused to acknowledge that they had abducted Comrade Bob and Nicholas, only to appear later when the two were being dumped at the Uganda-Kenyan border. 3 days back, when dictator Yoweri Museveni appeared before the journalists, he acknowledged the notorious behavior of his son, because according to the victims themselves, they were being tortured by General Muhoozi Kainerugaba. Like I said before here, the government of Uganda seemed to have penetrated and infiltrated the systems within the region. Most of the regional leaders, especially the heads of state, have been compromised by the regime in Uganda, and therefore the government of Uganda seems now to be dictating when it comes to domestic affairs of a number of countries within the region. However, Comrade Bob and Comrade Nicholas have now been added to a list of millions of victims of the Museveni impunity, brutality, but also the notorious nature of operation of the regime in Uganda. Today, they narrated the tragedy they went through. So I want us to pay much attention to their story, and then I'll react to it at the end of the video.
That the environment in Uganda is very different from the political environment in Kenya. I think for us, we're a bit lucky that the constitution allows for more freedoms of association, freedom of speech, and we sometimes take those freedoms for granted. In Uganda, they are still using a constitution that perhaps, actually the constitution does allow for us to mingle politically, but they have a system which is a military state, whereby the military runs the country, so to speak. And so they can choose to even suspend the constitution at will, like what they did for our case. If we had been arrested, we ought to have been presented to a court of law within 48 hours as per their laws. But they opted to abduct us forcefully because we had no option of refusing. You know, we were actually abducted forcefully. We were tortured. We have been kept incommunicado, total incommunicado, where you don't speak to anyone outside where you are or inside. We have been denied proper food and medical attention for those 38 days. We were psychologically tortured and physically. I mean, this goes against all the human rights, laws, either both locally or internationally. And it is a serious diplomatic trick, even for all other Kenyans who want to travel for business or for leisure in Uganda. It means that you can be picked anywhere, you're not safe. And this is actually going against the spirit of the East African community. My passport is an East African passport. I entered into Uganda and I was given a 6 months visa, actually. So we were there legally. And if there was any reason the government felt that they did not want us in their country, it's their right to deny us the visa, instead of allowing you to travel and then abducting you in the process while you're undergoing your day-to-day activities. We meant no harm to Uganda. We were not going there to start protest or to incite them, no. I was on a plain mission to visit a sister country to share in the social, economic, and also political activities happening. Going forward, I think the timing perhaps was a bit sensitive because they're having elections in a few days' time on the 26th. Yeah, so that's in a month's time. I was actually supposed to travel there again in January. I have my friends from Canada who wanted to visit Uganda. So they asked me, Bob, do you know a place we can visit? I was going to fact find and see if we can, the travel plans. I'm sure they're going to cancel those plans as soon as they hear what happened. So this is something that goes against the spirit of East African community. We need to have a more open and liberal society. And even when we go to Tanzania, we follow the laws of Tanzania. We don't break the laws. That is not to be conducted until today.
And you heard the president say he doesn't regret it.
So what is happening in Uganda is and Kenya and Tanzania, these are governments that are colluding and conspiring against their own people. And they are monitoring and looking at activists like ourselves, Boniface Mwangi and others, then targeting us, charging activists with crimes of treason, flimsy charges in court. Like in Uganda, they have so many young people who are arrested just for participating in a rally, So, CEO, this matter is, we can talk about it as a joke, but if the people don't unite as well to fight these oppressive governments, we're not going to win this war. It's very important.
The governments have sat together and have decided to muzzle free thinking, free speech, and all of that.
Yes.
So you've said that you spent 38 days. Did these guys feed you? Did they offer you any medical attention, or it was?
They bring some medicines that are just, I would say, not medicine that you'd get out and buy if you had a chance. You have problems. Me, I had several bouts of diarrhea, severally, because you are eating the same meal every day.
What was the meal like?
It is posho. Posho is ugali, but I would downgrade it somewhat.
Because they don't eat a lot of ugali there.
They eat posho and beans. So the recipe was posho and beans every day. If they get angry a bit, they throw in rice that looks like ugali. It's not different with ugali. But
so were you guys held in the same unit or different units? Did you know where Bob is? Did you know where Oyoo is?
In Sera Kasenyi, yes. But now when it went to the safe house, they even played psychological games on us. Trying to tell us that they told me that Bob is not here. In fact, we think we are not sure where they've taken him. We are not even sure if he's going on alive. They told me those things because we couldn't now communicate. Of course, we found our ways, but let's not talk about that here because we have other people in those detention places. This was detention without trial. Where did you hear detention without trial? In Kenya. Yeah, this was that.
It's long ago, before our new constitution, is when people were being detained. Of course, former Prime Minister Raila Odinga and the ilk were the people who were detained incommunicado for all those years without any recourse. But gentlemen, I think you have a bigger thing, a bigger fish to fry, because you're saying that
when you are a person who lives in freedom, you believe in freedom, you are called Free Kenya, by the way, being put in a place that is a cage, that's a fridge. So really what he was telling,
chambers, basically.
That is torture. It was torture. Torture is not just beating, though that one also happened. Torture is also psychological. Torture is also you can't move anywhere. Torture is also you can't make any plans. Torture is also you can't talk to people you know. Torture is also you can't organize your issues. That is torture. And so for him to use that fridge, it was about telling us that, see, our issues have been frozen as the Free Kenya movement. You get the point? So that is the kind of thing that he was creating there, to tell people.
In that same fridge, we have Ugandan civilians.
In the same fridge?
Yeah, one of them is actually the brother to the Internal Affairs Minister. The Minister for Internal Affairs, he's looking for his brother right now as we speak. He's been held at a place called Ronyo.
Just listen to what
Ronyo
is
a
place
center.
In Uganda,
that's where we've been held in the last
chambers.
safe house. The brother is there, he's called Amos. We have high-ranking government officials, civilians, who are still being held in that place. We have Nigerian brothers, about 6 of them civilians, who have been kept there for so long, being tortured. You know, one of them was explaining to me how his torture went. They were using pliers, you know, they squeeze his fingernails. He has so much body injuries that they don't want to release him in that condition until he's healed. He's still there. His name is Joseph Ifaye Chukwu Nobodo. He's a Nigerian national. I hope the embassy of Nigeria can be more, you know, like what Kenyans.
Now listen, there are so many Ugandans who are being tortured, who are being incarcerated illegally. But again, Comrade Bob and Nicholas again are giving us another revelation. That as we are talking about Ugandans, as we are talking about East Africans, again, there are other foreigners who are far beyond the boundaries of Uganda as a country, the boundaries of East Africa as a region, who are being incarcerated, being tortured on cases that we don't even know. Now he's talking about Nigerians. There are also some other identities. And this, they're only talking about a torture chamber where they were being kept. But again, think about other torture chambers, think about the so-called safe houses, think about the prison cells, whereby there are in thousands in terms of numbers, Ugandans and even foreigners who are being kept there. Listen.
At least try to do.
Yeah, proactive.
Yeah, be proactive in protecting the rights of your citizens. Whether they're innocent or guilty, let that be proven in a court of law, but not in a military base.
In that
the Sera Kasenyi training camp, we spent 23 days there.
Yeah.
And we were moved from that camp now to a safe house. The purpose of moving us was because I think word had gotten out that there are civilians in the military camp. So they had to move the civilians out quickly before investigations were
commenced.
Commenced. And we were taken to a safe house where we stayed for another 14 days before our release.
And that happened at 6 o'clock in the morning. Now, the thing is this, you're moving out, you don't know where you're going. You don't know, there are 3 destinations here. You could be getting released. You could be going to transfer.
Yes.
But there is a kutumwa kwa Mungu.
Yes.
So now you're in a situation here, you are not sure what your feelings are going to be. When they came for me, they got me in the last sleep where you are almost waking up. And I hear my name, Oyoo, and about 5-6 people get into the cell. The cell is a small place. So it's very traumatizing, first of all. And then they pick me up. I was not in my shirt. You know, we have those same clothes for 38 days. So I'm washing it sometimes. I put it there. I sleep without it. So I'm wearing it. So I had to wear it. They had to remove the handcuffs for me to wear it. And then after I've worn it, I told them that I want to use our latrine. Our latrine is a small 5-liter jerrycan.
Yes.
Yeah, that is cut at the top there. So they told me, no, this is not the time for that. So I'm like, wow. Does that mean that it's over? It's really traumatizing.
It's really sad, actually, to put people in such conditions. And the Kenyan government...
but most of it, mostly I'm a patriotic Kenyan who fights for the oppressed, who stands up for the rule of law, human rights. I'm a human rights defender. And this is partly why we got into trouble when we crossed over to Uganda. I want to first thank the media, especially KTN Standard Group, for really coming through when we were at our hour of need in terms of publicizing what was happening in Uganda. I also want to thank the young people, the Gen Zs, who took to the Twitter, TikTok, and really created a very strong momentum for our call to be released. So nashukuru sana wapendwa, tunawapenda sana. We continue to fight for good governance, democracy, accountability in government systems, and we are organizing ourselves not only in 2027, but even with these by-elections that are upcoming, whereby we are supporting independent candidates to take over. But we are saying that partly the problem we have in this country is the political infrastructure, the system that we have is not being able to create the kind of leaders that we need to have And therefore, we end up having protests year in and year out due to bad governance. It's about time now we also now moved from protest to power. That's what we're saying.
Protest to power.
By traveling there for our own personal issues. And we realized that our this is a sister organization. When we say people power, higher power, then they say people power, our power. So we were there in solidarity. For us, solidarity means anything you can do for a comrade. Even when you go to court and you can't do anything there, but you appear there, that's solidarity for us. Even when you just tweet and talk about that issue, that's solidarity. And you saw what it did. So we went there on solidarity. So as we got into that engagement, we found that he's a bit busy. We didn't get time to sit down with him and ask a few questions we wanted to ask, because we also on a fact-finding mission. We wanted to see how this can also help us in some of the things, the way we organize. Unfortunately, after we had left that convoy and we had gone to a petrol station, Starbucks, I think it's Mutuga, that place. That is where they came for us. And I think there is somebody who basically was telling them about us, preparing them to come and waylay us. But Kasenyi is a military prison. Is a military camp,
training camp.
In fact, the place that they locked us in was not actually cells. They were houses of those soldiers. So when they picked us, and I think the Nigerians, because we found out that they came a day before us in that place, those were houses being built for the soldiers, but they decided to lock us in there. So you find that that kind of a thing. You go there, it's a military camp. In the morning, at 4 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 3:30, you start hearing guns and bombs because they are training there. So those are the things that come into your mind every time. There's a soldier who told me that we in the special forces have something called a report. Our report is basically if you're given 5 bullets, you must bring back 5 bodies or bring back the 5 bullets.
What?
That is what he was telling me.
Interesting, but also very...
Somebody called John Mary Luchamsi, and I was in the cell with a Nigerian who is called John Alexander Egbo. He was in the same case with what the other one that Bob says. And we know there are many other people. In that fridge, there is 150 Ugandans out there. That fridge.
150 in Ronyo.
In fact, some are in freezers.
Those ones are in Serakasenyi. In Ronyo is where we have another safe house. That one has some Ugandan nationals, and that is not to mean that we cannot partner with people in Tanzania to advance our ideologies there. That is exactly what we are doing. And even with this upcoming, we are proposing to initiate several strategies that are going to compel the government of Tanzania to come down its high horse. Over 10,000 lives have been lost as we speak, and unconfirmed, but we are getting the reports from the people. Just now I received some Tanzanian refugees who have crossed the border into Kenya, and they're giving us information of what is happening. The president saw herself using a military, in a military camp. So the similarity is happening in Tanzania across the region. Remember, our president, William Ruto, is the chairman of the East African Community. Currently.
Yes.
So therefore it means that in his position, he's able to curtail or not. He's able to call these presidents to order as a chairperson. And therefore, if it's happening in Tanzania and he sends his deputy president to Tanzania to go and ratify these sham elections, which world over have been
even
called
in Africa,
out as one
African
of
countries
the biggest sham we have in elections. So for us, we are calling for a major. We're going to be joining the Tanzanians on December 9th. We are asking all Kenyans to join this struggle. We join our fellow brothers in Tanzania to call for justice first for all those people who have been murdered. And 2, we are saying that we're not going to recognize Samia Suluhu as a legitimately elected president of Tanzania. And therefore, the demands of Tanzanians is that she steps down and allows for another process that will be able to midwife what is happening in Tanzania. Otherwise, the country, people are already divided. And she cannot be seen as a credible leader.
Unifier.
Yes. So we joined the UN, and we thank the UN for taking a tough stance on this issue. They have flagged Tanzania out, and we hope even the US and other development partners can join and put sanctions on this government. All their officials should not be allowed to travel outside Tanzania. They should be denied any kind of funding for this government. And we are demanding the Kenyan parliament to actually we're going to put a petition to close down the Tanzanian embassy in Kenya until this matter is resolved.
And you've captured it very
well. From a dictator, if I may say so, because we have always relied on the power of the people. As a movement, whenever we have an activity, we put our pay bill out there, and Kenyans can contribute as little as 10 shillings towards our activities. We are driven by the power of the people. But if we get partners or donors who might want to facilitate any of our activities, as long as they're aligned to our ideologies, we cannot say no as long as we're not breaking the law.
Yes.
However, we are not funded by any of foreign interests. This is purely a very organic Kenyan movement, especially I can speak on behalf of the Free Kenya movement. That's our treasure right there. You can also donate something to our pay bill. We have the pay bill. Can you read it? It's,
yes,
let me give it out here, a pay bill, because we need support from Kenyans.
Sure. Yeah.
Give me the pay bill, account number for the bank. I will read it out later towards the end. And we welcome the support of all Kenyans because we need, like now, we want to engage with the by-elections on the 20th, this coming ones on the 27th of November. We are supporting candidates across the country that represent the ideology which we stand for. And these are mostly the independent candidates. We'll need to travel to the communities to tell them about the kind of change we want to have. So any support towards advancing this. We have victims. For example, we have victims of people who are still in incarceration. We need to speak more to the media about these issues. We'll have to travel from one place to
another. Bill number, gentlemen.
Yes.
The Tanzanian case is ongoing, and you're saying that you're receiving these people who have come back, and they're saying people have been killed. Boniface Mwangi went to Tanzania. He was abducted, tortured, and also almost lost his life there. How will you help handle the Tanzanian question?
It's very easy. First, we look at the diplomatic ties. That's where we're saying we'll take a petition to Parliament to lobby for parliamentarians to actually push a motion to dissolve, or rather to stop the Tanzanian embassy from operating in Kenya. These are diplomatic effort. Secondly, we are going to partner with the people of Tanzania on the 9th of December in what we call Article 37, the right to peacefully protest, and organize a major, serious push right here in Nairobi, Kenya, to push for the freedom of the Tanzanian people. Right? We are going to write to the UN. The UN has already written to the Tanzanian government on these issues of human rights atrocities. So we can push for an inquiry from the International Criminal Court, ICC, to weigh down on this regime, to collect data, because a lot of data that is already present, and initiate a process of investigating these crimes against humanity. So I think if we use these different tactics, then we can force change within that region. Otherwise, if we allow what has happened to proceed, then we are likely to see the same in Uganda after the elections, and even in Kenya in 2027.
So we are worried about this thing of transmitting bad behavior of government. They're telling us we are the ones transmitting bad behavior.
Yes.
But there is bad behavior of government, really.
Okay.
Because the kind of things that you're seeing.
Yes.
In 2007, we had these issues.
Yes.
These elections in Tanzania is really not the best thing. We have seen Tanzania as a very peaceful country in our neighbor. In fact, it was Kenya and Tanzania, the area of peace. Now you find what has happened. Uganda is coming in the next few months. Then if this happens again, somebody is learning. And then us next. So we are really worried about that.
What do you foresee 2027 to be like then, gentlemen? Because you see, what is
in us being abducted, or in
either, because they can play a big role in getting abducted. You know, it's your country.
We are almost convinced, CEO. We are almost convinced. The timelines tell us very differently.
The government played a role.
With them. We are almost convinced. They need to convince us.
Last year I was disappeared for 32 days.
Yeah.
It's the same system here that disappeared us, including all the Gen Zs that were killed here.
And it said the same thing.
It's not a different
Bob
government that was
Bob
there
is
in
not
place.
in our hands.
What happened to the Gen Zs who died? Have we gotten justice for them?
Zero.
The people who were abducted.
Oh, it is such a terrible story, a very terrible experience, but that is how you can summarize the modus operandi of the criminal military regime in Uganda. And it's also a clear indicator that we do not have a civilian government. We do not have a democratic government in Uganda. We are under total, extreme, complete military dictatorship. And it is also very clear that the terror that was unleashed on Bob and Nicholas was spearheaded by Muhoozi Kainerugaba under his militia group, the Special Forces Command. Because I've been asking people, what is the incense of the East African community? Look, and it's the same thing that they were saying. Initially, we had this passport, the Uganda passport. And then along the way, we obtained this, the East African Community Passport. So this integration that we talk about, what do we have in common? Just give me one single area where the member states of the East African Community have in common. Could it be from the social angle, the political angle, the economic angle? Because if the simple thing of free movement cannot also be executed, then what is the essence of this useless community? We have the East African passport, East African, whereby member states, all citizens from the member state should be having free exit, free entrance in every single country, which is a member state of the East African community. But Ugandans are being kidnapped, abducted from Kenya. Kenyans are being kidnapped and abducted from, not even arrested, but kidnapped and being abducted. And they are also being exposed to extreme torture. You get? You have someone who is in charge of the state affairs in Uganda, who is a militant, by the way, captured all the state institutions, but also compromised all the regional leaders, especially the heads of state. Because Museveni is not only dictating when it comes to our domestic affairs in Uganda, but he's also dictating in Kenya, he's also dictating in the affairs of Tanzania, he's also dictating in Sudan. At one time, President Ruto delegated the late Raila Odinga to go and meet President Salva Kiir and his opponent, Riek Machar. After meeting Salva Kiir, he went ahead to meet Dr. Riek Machar. But he was told by the government of Sudan that you need to get consent from the government of Uganda, and he had to fly to Uganda. That's what I'm telling you. He's not only dictating in Uganda, but he's dictating across the entire region. And this impunity must come to an end. According to them, they're telling you there are so many other foreigners, including Nigerians, who are being exposed to extreme torture in different torture chambers, in the so-called useless safe houses, different prison cells. So because us, we've been thinking about only Ugandans, but there are so many other individuals, innocent souls, who are foreigners, but they are also being exposed to the same kind of treatment that we are getting in Uganda. Okay. So we say it is not over until it's over. And like I said, all leaders in the region seem now to be implementing the script of Museveni. Or maybe the book that they are reading is the book that was authored by dictator Yoweri Museveni. There is institutional decay in Uganda. There are broken systems in Uganda. And it is the same thing that we are exporting to the neighborhood. We have failed to export commodities. We have failed to export domestic or locally made goods. But now we are exporting criminality. We are exporting abductions. We are exporting torture. Because Ugandans that were abducted in Kenya were not abducted by the Kenyan security forces. They were abducted by Uganda security forces inside Kenya. And this one is some kind of a disrespect to the, or the violation to the Kenya's territorial integrity, but also a violation of its sovereignty. So this nonsense, this mess must come to an end. And we say enough is enough. And I know we are getting there. The cause in Tanzania is still ongoing. They are organizing a deadly protest on the 9th of December. That is why my brother Bob is saying that they are also coordinating in Kenya. They are organizing so that they can collaborate with our brothers from Tanzania to see how they can break this criminal regime in Tanzania. Uganda, we are getting there very soon. Thank you very much.